everybody, it's Christy with BookCrushin. I'm here with Tiffany Schmidt.
Hi.
We're here in San Jose. She's here to visit us for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah.
If you don't know, she was the first author I moderated.
Yeah,
you knew that.
Did such a wonderful job.
Thank you. Such a special day for me. It's the day after my birthday, and it just meant so much to me. So I'm so glad to be here with you. And Bookish Boyfriends 2.
Yeah.
A good story. So excited about this book. If you have not read Bookish Boyfriends, you absolutely need to, because it is literally the cutest book I read last year. So cute. And so much more than a romance.
Yes.
Like we were just talking about that these books, like they're packaged in a romance, because of course you write romance.
Sure.
But there's so much more about the backstory of the girls and what's going on for them. So
right.
So excited. So this one was inspired by Little Women, right?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, Little Women's on the cover.
Women and Great Gatsby.
And Great Gatsby, which is plays a big part in the book, right? So what elements of both of those books were important for you to maintain when you wrote this?
I'm a younger sister, and this book, I always say, is both my love letter to Little Women, but also to sisterhood.
And you have your dedication is about that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And I grew up with a big sister who I adored and idolized, but who also left this huge, larger-than-life shadow.
Oh.
Where I remember being a freshman in high school, and I had a teacher who called me by her name all year.
Oh my gosh, no.
And it was hard to be a little sister. And when I first read Little Women, I was in probably second, third grade, and it was one of those things that had been given to me by one of my aunts, and everyone expected me to identify with Joe.
Right. That's what I was just thinking when you talked about that.
And I strongly identified with Amy.
Ah.
And I know that there are so many Amy haters out there, but as a younger sister, I just so connected with how she always felt left out. You know, she always felt like she couldn't quite keep up, she wasn't quite as cool, and her older sister did everything better and first. And I know there was that horrible book burning scene, but I also think she was like 10 or 8. I mean, she was little and she was impulsive, and it was a stupid thing to do, but she was also really hurting.
Right.
So I always say that this book is kind of my like redemption act for Amy. And I've had a couple of people be like, I'm reconsidering Little Women now. And I'm like, yes, success.
Like, that's what I wanted.
Right.
That's adorable. What parts of Great Gatsby did you bring into it?
Great Gatsby I read in sophomore year of high school. No, junior year of high school, I should say, with my Ms. Gregoire, who was a teacher I had. There's a teacher in the book who I always say is a grown-up version of Miss Frizzle, and her name is Miss Gregoire. And my high school teacher, Miss Gregoire, was that person for me. She was the one that like first convinced me that I could write, or that I had something to say when I wrote. So of course I had to name this character after her. But I remember reading Great Gatsby with her, and I was a hopeless romantic in high school, to the point that, like, the queen of unrequited. I wouldn't have had a crush on someone who was attainable. I think it was just the fact that, you know, these people didn't know I was alive that made me want them. And so when I first started reading Gatsby, I thought it was so romantic, you know, that Daisy has these two men who both love her, and it didn't occur to me that Tom was like a raging racist,
right? Or
like Gatsby was so dishonest in everything, and that what they had wasn't anything close to love, that it was all about this idealized person. And Rory, who's our narrator in Boy Next Story, has kind of the same version. She has been in love with Toby since she was little, but it's gotten to the point that she doesn't see him clearly at all. He's more of a figurehead than he is a person to her. And so this book is really about her journey to learn herself and her place in her family, but also to learn who he is.
That's so fascinating how you like weave both of those stories in there. Like you would never pair them together.
Right, you wouldn't think.
But you would pair them together.
Yeah.
So that's what matters, right? So you've written 2 different sets of books that are inspired or retellings of other stories. What's been the most challenging part of doing that?
I think it's finding the pieces that are most salient to me that I want to make sure to include, or what do I feel like is the truth of the story? What is the piece that I want to bring over? And it may not be everyone's favorite plot point. In fact, Bookish Boyfriends 3, Talk Nerdy to Me, love that
title.
Best
title.
I know.
Best title.
Is Frankenstein and Anne of Green Gables. Which do not seem like
so
they go together, but I think is actually the best pairing I have so far. And I don't have a cordial scene. You know, it doesn't fit in the story, you know, so it's finding the beats that fit, but also that are true to these characters.
Right.
And that has kind of been the challenge, because every time I go back to the original source material, I'm like, oh, but what about that?
Right.
So it's kind of paring back and choosing what I need, and not getting so bogged down in making sure every single beat matches.
Makes sense.
And also leaving some in there that are so subtle that only the most ridiculous readers are going to find them. There's a scene in A Date with Darcy, which is Romeo and Juliet and Pride and Prejudice, where they're walking and they first see the Romeo cipher, and Merri makes a comment about him standing under some type of trees, and Eliza corrects her and says, no, they're sycamores. You know, which is a line, you know, there's a line in Romeo and Juliet about Romeo standing under the sycamore trees, and it's like those tiny beats that I love to include that most people don't get.
Have you had readers find that in specific?
I don't think that specific one.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know. Somebody's going to go back and read it and look.
Right, but there's lots of wink nods to myself.
Right.
The character names, which are all kind of plays, you know, Toby's name is Tobias May, instead of Theodore Lawrence, so you have the T's, and
Right.
then Louisa May Alcott. You know, Monroe was Monroe Stratford. You know, kind of an anagram of Romeo, and
Right.
Stratford on Avon, where Shakespeare grew up. So
that's deep.
yeah,
That's
they're
really
fun.
good.
They've been really fun.
And there's 4 of these coming, so there's
There
even
are.
more.
There
There's 2
are
more coming.
more,
There's
yep.
even more of these little tidbits. And I'm going to go back and reread
I know.
and look for them.
They're like
for
my
sure.
inside jokes of myself.
Which character do you most identify with in this story?
In this story, definitely Rory. But when I was writing A Date with Darcy, I would have said that I was straight up Merrilee. I feel like each of these characters is so much of me. And then book 3 is from Eliza's point of view, and there's a lot of myself in there as well. That book's a lot about women in STEM, and I actually started in chemical engineering, and it was not a good fit for me. A lot of because of the dynamics
Right.
and the gendered issues, and I definitely mind that. So I think there's something of me in each of the stories, where I'm tapping different aspects of my personality.
Just bring a little piece of yourself in each of the time. I love that. And of course, in the 4th book, it'll probably be the same thing. You'll find a piece of yourself.
I'm working
right?
on it now. The 4th book is Huck's story. It's based on Sherlock Holmes, and it's Huck and Winston's story.
Based on Sherlock Holmes. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. So, thinking about current bookish boyfriends that are existing in the world, whether they're YA or adults or whatever, which of them do you hope gets a retelling in 100 years from now? If somebody was looking at all the YA boyfriends or adult, even bookish boyfriends.
Man, that is a very hard question. Man, I would love to see what the future does with, I don't know. With Jenny, I mean, all of Jenny Han's books, I would love to see.
Right?
You know, maybe it becomes not letters, but like digital,
Right.
digital chip imprint messages or neural network something some days.
That would be so fun.
That Regine is accidentally sending. I don't know.
I mean, sometimes we're even going backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the Mean Girls Shakespearean redo. That
No,
just
but that
released.
sounds
so
amazing.
funny. So funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was thinking about that. As I was thinking about this question, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, gosh, what books will they take and adapt?
Right.
You know, when the next you 100 years from now is looking at books and
Right.
it's like, I want to look at the story in a new light.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think so many times we pull pieces even if we don't mean to.
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, something has to inspire you, right?
Right,
And
right.
I'm sure Little Women inspired you in some capacity. You know,
Yes.
when you're writing this book. So.
Absolutely.
Well, if you have not picked up any of the Bookish Boyfriend story, I know they're on audio as well, which
Yes.
is so exciting
Yes.
to me, and they're fabulous on audio. So if you have, they're physical, audio, lots of options to pick it up.
And the audio for this book afterwards, there's an audio extra. That's me and the narrator and my editor and the head of Abrams Audio sitting around a table having kind of like a book chat.
What was that like?
It was one of the neatest things I've done as an author.
So
it was
exciting.
just, I mean, it was like book club, but we were talking about my book.
Right.
I was like, tell me more. And just hearing everyone's stories from high school and everyone kind of sharing their own bookish boyfriends and, you know, what they had connected with. It was really a great experience.
That's awesome. So I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. So now I
It's
can't
really
wait.
fun.
Maybe I'll start there. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to spoil anything. So if you haven't picked it up, there'll be signed copies here at Ticklebee's. You always sign at your local bookstore,
Yep.
right? Doylestown.
Doylestown Bookshop.
So pick it up soon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye.